So, hello everyone and welcome to today's episode of my PUBG analysis series. It is week 3, it is day 2 of the PEL phase 1. We are just 2 days away from finding the winners of phase 1 and 2 days away as well from finding the 4 teams that will be going into the Face It Global Summit event, which I'm going to. Thank you for that, Cloud9, for making that possible. So yeah, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be exciting. And now we'll look into the Friday games that were played yesterday. So game number 1, pretty straightforward, plain face. Whoops, what the? Hello? Am I not allowed to? Oh, okay, that's interesting. If I do this, just give me 1 second. If I do this, then I can draw. Okay, I'll make sure to get that fixed. Okay, in any case, face goes down south because they can't fly all the way to Monte from there, so that makes sense. Circle now popping east, which probably would mean that they just say we'll just stick around. And I say probably, but I actually watched these games yesterday. Normally, I don't really watch the games. I mean, I do watch the games, but sometimes I don't have time to watch the games before I do the analysis the day after. But yesterday, I actually did get to watch 3 of the game. No, because I watched. I didn't watch game 4, but game 5 I came back and watched again. I think that's how it was. So I actually do know what happens now. So there's no guessing this time around. We know what's gonna happen, but that doesn't mean, of course, that we cannot analyze it. And maybe some of you guys out there didn't get to watch it. So we know with this circle, we saw it on day 1 of week 3 as well. When you have when you have Los Leones in the center of everything here, things get a little tricky because nobody wants to be in here, and it also kind of blocks off rotation paths if you want to go south. Which means that if you're going, like if the next circle shifts south, as you saw the other day when M19 and Jokers were fighting for the end, they were the only teams to swoop around this side, and they pretty much got not the win off of it, but they avoided a lot of confrontation up on that side off of it. So interesting circle to see here. Maybe island circle, who knows? You would probably have read about it on Reddit or Twitter or something had it been one more island circle in the PL. Let's see, Ratio Edge, they're coming in late. Wind Strike coming in late as well. NIP and Jokers do the same. What is Nuki doing this far out in the blue? What in the... Your team is down here. So circle goes somewhat center again. Keep in mind that we have... Oh, we also draw in red just to mark it even more. We have Los Leones here, right? Big fat no-go. You don't want to go there. Circle comes closing on in. Raise your edge. They're sitting well in it. Moving on up. And now this circle pops. This circle becomes interesting because you have pretty much 3 different, like 3 very unique areas in one. You have a big city. You have the hillside up by La Bandita. And then you have this big, massive open field. Sure, Impala is still in. But other than that, I mean, this entire... I'll try and outline it for you. We'll take a color that suits outlining for this stuff. We'll even cut over the road here. Alright. Something like this. It's like a huge open field. Sure, you have hay bales. You have a few dips here and there. You have the position that TSM are sitting in. We've pinpointed that one before as well, the crossroads where you can sit around for a little while. And then you have the compounds. That's pretty much it in the circle, at least. So everything else is extremely open. So either what you're going to do is you're going to crash one of the compounds, or you're going to go and have to play hard edge. So like anything south of this road is available, and Impala is available, but that's it, because all the other compounds are taken already. So you'll see teams forced to roll up on one another, and if not, then everybody will be cramped down into the south. You can see how they're all rotating down, right? Look at this. Look at this if we go back for a second. As soon as the circle pops, look at the concentration of teams making their way down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Jokers come down. 6. NIP is actually the only team to go above here. Everyone else tries to cram their way down south, and they all forced into fights because of it. So that's a little bit unfortunate. Circle pops once more. It goes west. It goes into the field. We've seen this circle a billion times before. Again, this road becomes pretty much a river to cross. It's a big fatty yikes, and nobody wants to deal with it. Circle goes north once more. Now we have the intersection where TSM is sitting. They're actually 2-2 split here. It makes sense, but I would assume them to be somewhat gathering up at this point. So we have their intersection, and then everything else is open. Ends, they have the compound. All they have to do, I mean, they do not have to give a rat's ass about what's happening inside the circle right now. All they need to focus on is everything happening here, because these will be their threats. Red Diamonds, they try to commit to this compound. Digital, they try to go through. CC, get themselves a little bit of a hay bale stack down there. Stay alive for a little while longer. Iro tries to get some sort of cover in the hay bales. He goes down. Again, circle north up towards Vitality's compound. Ends now have to make a tricky leave. Trifly pushes dead center, loses 2 teammates. Mikas tries to make the run on up. And new circle pops once more. This is just, I mean, this is just a big open, awful area to play around. Because you can see TSM, they have the hillside, right? They have the road that they can kind of peek up over, but it's not steep enough that it's one of those really like trench ridges kind of places. They have to like run up, run back down, instead of just being able to stand and going over into a flat terrain. And then you have Voxix and Vitality. They're up on the hill and they have to fight each other with Red Diamonds just waiting below, holding them off. So not the optimal place for everyone, for anyone. Trifly going down. Rory, good shots there. Gustav takes the position. Makes perfect sense. So Rory pretty much just gave Gustav the position to play from. Circle now goes west. Gustav takes down 1. Red Diamonds coming smart in. Third partying. Smart play there. 2v1v1. Death Circle. Nasus spotted. He's in the blue now. Goes down. Not sure exactly why that happened. And Rory dies 1v2. Not sure how Nasus ended up getting a 3rd place there. Like, why wouldn't he just fight for it? I don't know. We can't see exactly what happened. But that was game 1. We ran over it a bit quickly. But I mean, once we get out into these open areas, because it's Miramar and because we can't really see the curvature of the terrain, it's a little tricky to go like in-depth analysis. The only thing I can tell you is where the hills are. Sorry for yawning. Only thing I can tell you is where the hills are, and where we have all the like hay bale stacks and all those things. That was game number 1. We'll toss it over to game number 2 of the day. Also Miramar, for those of you guys who shouldn't know. Center circle. This one's easy, at least as far as rotations go, because most people or most teams, I got hiccups now, that's annoying. Most teams are in the circle already, so not really the biggest issues coming out of this one. TSM, they're moving up early, and look at this split from Knights. I actually kind of like that because it's a very eastern plane. It's Las Leonas over pretty much somewhere up here. And there was a bad line drawn, but you know what I mean. So all these western teams, we have Windstrike going here, we have a far northern team, we have Power Grid split. Neither of these guys can really make their flights. So what ends up happening is Windstrike goes north, and Knights, they split differently. And I don't think that Liquid is ready for this one, because it's in Kramer to Graveyard, and then they just compound split, right? It's scary, even with this loot. I mean, even with proper loot, it actually is a bit scary, because you can get unlucky when you do these compound splits. But I don't think TSM is really aware. Or TSM, sorry, Team Liquid is really aware that this is happening. You see Yemzi jumping out. Voxic now making the run for it. So fortunately for Yemzi, could have been caught off guard there, but that doesn't end up happening. Drayden trying to drive up towards Reels. Reels uniting in Graveyard. And seems like they're keeping a 3-1 split here. Makes sense. They're pretty center in the circle. Have a good spot to play from. And they they should be just fine from there. Liquid tries to pull in. They get pulled up on by Red Diamonds. Doesn't really work their way. Liquid survives. All 4 guys alive, it seems. Nope, they lost empty. So, oh, did they? No, they didn't. 4-0. Good fight for Liquid. Circle goes further north. Hacienda in the center. Again, we're talking about these open areas. It's not really areas you want to be in, unless you have one of the compounds. I mean, that's pretty much everywhere. Honestly, if you don't have high ground, or like high ground positions and compounds. I did. Sorry, I'm so tired today. I don't know what it is. I didn't get my morning coffee, I guess. I did the map, if you guys saw it on Reddit or Twitter or whatever, with all the circles on them. And when I was sitting and outlining Miramar, it really occurred to me that there are, I think I can count on one hand, like proper rotation path checkpoints, or like proper places you can stop and scout that are sort of down in terrain. You know, like flat in terrain. If it's not a compound and if it's not a high ground position, first of all, you can't see a lot. You don't have a lot of cover. I mean, it's just, you're rarely ever in a spot that you can really use if you aren't on a hilltop when it's on Miramar, because the terrain is so curved and there's so much difference in height and lows. It's really, really hard to do anything without either high ground or a compound to play around. And you can see here as well, all of NIP sitting in compounds, all of Windstrike sitting compound or high ground. High ground, compound, high ground, compound, 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 compound. That's all people do. It's the only thing you do, and the only thing you can do, honestly, from here as well. High ground, compound, compound. It's all you can do in this map. It's just kind of interesting. It's just a little interesting to keep in mind. M19 drive through San Martin, makes sense. There's no one in there at this point. Circle goes further north, and this circle is, I mean, once again, because you have so many people crammed in the bottom. Look at this. You can see the concentration, right? If you draw a line kind of through the middle, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams north and 10 teams bottom. That's just how it is. 66% of the circle is sitting on the south, and when you then get a circle that shifts north, first of all, we exclude a lot of terrain. Second of all these teams that were south that had sort of space to maneuver, all of a sudden, now they don't. Look at this. We have the entire north side up by water treatment. It's completely clear. And this is probably what? Let's realistically say, like, how many percentage this? 25, 30, 30-ish percent of the circle. There's no one in. We could draw the line even further south, actually. We can do it like that. At least 35, maybe 40% of the circle, you have absolutely no players in. Which means that we have 51%, like 51 players, either in the bottom part of the circle that we didn't draw, or outside on the south side. There's no one sitting north of the circle at this point. And how the hell are you going to play on this? Sure, it is a northern hard shift, but if you're a Southern team, like if you're Liquid, where do you go? Had this been Liquid with Scoom back when they played, I would honestly see or expect them to do something like this and then come in from the north. Only issue is that when you come in straight from the north, you have water treatment, and you don't want to get stuck in water treatment either. The only spot you can really play from would be the hill, like the hilltop up here, or there's like a long mountain, like a ridge line going up there as well. So one of those two spots you could play from, but how do you get up there? You cannot drive through San Martin. You cannot just run up this mountain to then go down on the other side, should there be people waiting in San Martin. And you cannot really go around here. So there's so many points you have to check in order to get up there. Same thing going on the east side. If you want to go from the east, say you're Jokers, and you want to come in from up here, how do you get up there? You cannot just run down here because you're going to get blown up by a team that could be sitting in here still waiting for rotations. So you have to go all the way back, all the way over. And as soon as you're up here, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, potentially 5 teams that can spray at you while you're driving. And then you have to go down into the valley, up on the other side, and over. And these circles, they close within 60 seconds. So the room that you have when you actually get over here might be this much if you don't want to tank blue. So it's a hard rotation to make, especially with so many teams kind of holding you off on the south side. And I think that's what teams realize, and therefore they can't really make that cut over. Navi actually played it smart. They scouted up and took a position up here. Like that. Now you can see now they're trying to do it, but now it's too late. Now they're trying to scout up and over and see where they can go, but it's too late because the circle is already closing. And they don't want to tank blue for too long. So everyone is crammed into the bottom. Now fortunately the circle comes a bit down south again. Imagine had the circle gone up here, that would have been absolute horrible. But it does go a bit down. It does exclude Hacienda though, and all of San Martin. That could house a lot of people. So that's kind of the death penalty for a lot of the players. See all the confrontations happening down here with everyone going out of Hacienda as well. A lot of fights occurring. And then it's just about getting inside, like getting the better spot than your opponents. When you have these cluster fights, I think there's two things you can do. Either A, like Vitality. I mean, now I'm sure Vitality were sitting in this spot for a long time, but if you're quick enough, you can get around and help hold them off. Or B, play on the back end. You cannot just be in the one in the middle that gets shot at by Vitality and also shot at by the others. You have to kind of play on either side. So either you're going to be in the guy way out on the edge that has to fight his way in, but then at least you only have to focus kind of like forward. Or you have to be a Vitality that just sits inside and holds up everyone. Like either one of the two is a playable position, but it's tricky for sure. Navi caught down on the ridge, and they need to deal with ratio edge before they can push up. They try to crawl up now, not really working. Yep, Snark just ran over Cup of Magic. That's unfortunate. This push is nice from Windstrike. They put up Vitality. They put up Jazza and Monkey. And I think what really helps Windstrike here is this shot. Boom. Fired by Miracle right there. It's actually not Miracle. It's Gaxi. Shot fired by Gaxi up on Monkey. That reveals their position because Windstrike clearly hears the shot. And it's like, well, they ain't shooting after us, so where the hell, what was they shooting at? And they realize there's a team up and above them. They might, like, it might drag their attention up there even more so. And Vitality forced to pull back a little bit. They know the compound is going to be excluded, and they know there's a team down there. The only question for me is, maybe you should have committed one more player, because you know that it's, I mean, you haven't seen more than one knock on the team. So unless if it's a bad call saying that there's only 2 players alive, then sure, you could have taken it 2-2 because you have the circle, they don't. But now you're under fire from another team as well. Is that then where you disengage and run back, or is that where you hold it despite being shot at by an IP? That's tricky. 1 goes down, 2 goes down. You see, that's what happens, right? Now all of a sudden Vitality, they had the only compound. Like Vitality had the only compound in the circle. And they send out 2 to hold. It makes perfect sense. It's a smart play. But as soon as they get shot at by Miraku, that should have been the immediate disengage and sprint back to the compound. Have a good one, Winderman. Have a good one. Take care. Wind strike does go down, but as I said before, look at this position. Had Vitality been 4 alive down here, they would have been absolutely golden. Chris hiding in the houses. He goes down. NIP tries to push up to get some center control. Not exactly the easiest spot to get control, but they're trying anyway. Ratio Edge tries crawling on around. There's still 4 guys up. They played it smart on the edge, literally, to their name. And then 4v2, not gonna be possible. I mean, it is possible. They just have to disengage and get out of the compound, but I mean, Ratio Edge, they've been stepping up, and they take the win there as well. So, good game by Ratio Edge to finish things off. They were kind of caught by Na'Vi at one point, but they still made it out alive. So, good job by them. That was game number 2. And then we'll go here. Bada bing, bada boom. Jump into game number 3. Alright. And again, guys, if you have any questions along the way, do ask. That is a big part of why I'm doing these things. Plane is straightforward, drops are straightforward. No surprises anywhere. No surprises at all, actually. Northern Circle, nobody went far north because, well, first of all, the plane didn't allow for it, and second of all, nobody really goes up there. So what's gonna happen here? Let's see. Everyone starts rotating up. Of course, again, you have San Martin. You have the rich line. And presumably teams would go up and over. FaZe would probably do this exact thing. And Ratio Edge, for example, would probably go up and over somewhere in here as well. They actually end up fighting Na'Vi. That's unfortunate. Kind of an annoying place to be forced to fight. Oh my god, Ratio Edge got eliminated. So they tried to hold them off, and that didn't work in their way at all. Yikes. That's a shift. Holy hard shift. It pretty much connects with the line. That is a rough one, for sure. Goes all the way up to the edge, and as you can see, let's just rewind a little bit. Now, there were a lot of teams up here already, because we talked about this. Look at this. As soon as the circle pops, there's no one up here. There's, well, I mean, sure, you have Jokers up in La Copraria, but there's pretty much no one up here either, right? The only thing is that if you look at the map and you cut down a line in the middle, that's not at all the middle, but you know what I'm trying to do. Okay, I'm not good at drawing straight lines with my mouse. This is the best I'm gonna do. If you draw down a line and you look at the teams, how they rotate, there's so many teams down here that will be making their way up and around this way, which we said before, that's what's gonna happen, right? Also, these teams that are down here, they're going to be making their way up this way. But nobody wants to be in water treatment. Nobody wants to play on the hilltop if they can avoid it. Look at the difference in the terrain here, right? You have so many compounds. 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, a billion compounds over here. Whereas on this side, not so much. There's so much. I mean, this entire area is completely open. This entire area is completely open. Up here, you have a big area that's completely open. Whereas to over here, it's a little more condensed with compounds everywhere. You can't really draw a big square. They can't be like, they won't get any bigger than this, right? So there's way more condensity in compounds on the west side of the middle, which means that look at how they rotate. Look at how many teams end up being on the west side of the center point than the east side. Hey, Horst. You see all these teams, they're making their way over west already, because that's where the compounds are. Look at all of a sudden, we had a pretty even split to begin with. I mean, to start things off, there. We had a pretty even split. Let's count it up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, completely even split. 8 teams on each side. Now let's just fast forward even faster. And then see as soon as the next circle pops, how many teams we have on each side. Even though this is the center point, Okay, how many teams do we have now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All of a sudden, the vast majority of teams are west, and that's why we see this. There's so many players up here already. So many teams are already, even though it's a hard shift, so many teams are already up in this area. Because we talk about how you want to sit center in this circle, the previous one, right? The only thing is that this area over here, if you lose your vehicles in circle 1 or circle 2, and you have to rotate through an open field, believe me, there's no way in hell that's ever going to happen. So for all these teams, they opt to go for the safe compounds up on the west side. And sure, they get they get the benefit of the circle, but for all these other teams now, it only makes things so much harder, because as we know, when we draw up the center point of a circle, looking at the new circle where it goes, people will say this is where the majority of players are. And it's true. But for teams that are coming in late, and even for the teams that are furthest out on the edges down here, like Vitality, they cannot just go in this way with everyone else. Nope, they have to either go around the north side or around the south side. Issue here becomes you have San Martin down here, that's a no-go. You have water treatment, that's a no-go. So you gotta sort of expand your rotations, not go through here, but go all the way around here instead. It just makes it that much harder for teams to do. You can see Vitality, they're coming in and over, they're coming in late now as well. Going up, they actually go to water treatment, okay. And I've seen them play from up here before, so it makes sense. They like to sit up in the, like the ridge time we drew up before up here by water treatment. So they go up in there, but everyone else forced up around the top. Which means, and this is why you got to keep these things in mind, right? Because it means that all of a sudden, now the bottom part, because everybody tries to over-rotate on the northern hard shift, everybody thinks we got to get up on the top. Sure, you don't want to go into La Coparia, but you want to be up here now, right? That means that for all the teams that were center before, that all make the run, ooh, that's a nice little arrow, that all makes the run this way, all of a sudden, now the bottom part becomes the open spot. Look at this. Everybody leaves the bottom side, right? And that's why if you're coming in late, like if you have a really rough rotation that's far off, sometimes just do like M19 does here. Just come in late and take this spot instead of trying to go over-committed to the other side. Because if it's a northern hard shift, odds are that all the teams that were in the center point before, which is now the southern edge, will have moved so far up to make it to the next center that the entire bottom part will be open. It's just something to keep in mind when you're doing these rotations. Unless, of course, if you continue to get yikes hard shifts like that, the game really wants to go to La Copraria, I guess. Okay, so we get the city up here is a yikes. The crater down here is a yikes. Everything's a yikes. And we've seen these circles before so many times. There's a magnet, guys. There's a magnet in La Copraria, and it's dragging all the circles up here. Ends coming in hard north. Face, they're sitting pretty centered. This is just, I mean, you have this entire ridge line up by the crater, and this entire rundown is, if not impossible, then something close to it. I mean, it's such a horrible place to have to run down because it's so open, and you cannot really, you can do it in a vehicle, but where do you go? I mean, you're going to be coming down max speed, and you can't really crash anything unless you try to force a fight with some of the other teams. It's just a really hard place to leave. Sure, you can sit up here for a while, but once you're forced down, everybody will be looking up there because they know, well, there's a team up there. They got to be coming down at some point, and that's 3 points for us. So teams will be most likely be looking to kind of get some 3 points off of that. Huge fights on the east side. That's all the teams that tried to wrap north earlier that are now forced to 5-way fight, it seems like, one another. Then we have all of these teams trying to push in. Red Diamonds, honestly, at this point, you might want to get together, but at the same time, yeah, they're doing it now. Makes sense. I was going to say at the same time, you got to hold off the entire south, right? Because that's going to be like, there's a big open field here that nobody can push through, and they cannot allow anyone to push through there. Face, get one down, get the rest up though. Uba, nice split position. Kind of cuts off all of Red Diamonds. They take down 2. Now Digital, what do you do? They don't do anything. They just chill on the edge. Now they're far out on the edge. Now they push up. Iroh soloed out again. That's gonna be all of them down. That was a weird play by Digi. I know we can't really see the terrain here, but that was an interesting move. And FaZe win. Good job. Who got second? Red Diamonds got second place. Yeah, that's good. Windstrike up top again. I don't know how many kills they got this game. We can go back and take a look real quick. Windstrike. Oh, they had 8 kills this game, so they got some points off of it. We've been kind of been giving Windstrike a hard time for when they get high placements. They rarely ever get a lot of kills with it, but this time around they actually did. So good job by them. Game number 4. We're going over to Eranglu. And we're going through this quickly because you guys aren't asking any questions or anything. So I'm just assuming that everything I say makes perfect sense and that you understand it, and therefore we don't need to go into detail with anything. Alright. Alright. Plane is Western. It's gonna force some changes. Let's see what changes occur. What changes do we have here, guys? Let me know. Holla at me. What is different? What is different? What have we not seen? Hey Crimson and hey Blacken. Blacken, you can do !program in the chat and that will tell you everything you need to know. What changes do we see here, guys, that we haven't seen before? I can come up with 2 already. I'm just gonna tell you because you're so slow to tell me. Knights, their far west side, and we got FaZe in Sargi. That's not something we've seen before. But of course, with a plane that is this far western, then you gotta adapt and you gotta change up things. And they do. Oh, this is the game where, yep, I remember. I didn't watch the entire game, but I just came back at one point because I saw like the Discord I'm part of, and everyone was like, "What the hell is TSM doing?" And I was like, "What is TSM doing? Anything special?" Because I was sitting and doing some other stuff. So I look in, and I think I came in around here somewhere, where Wookie is in a boat, and Michael and Rory are on the edge, and I was like, "Wait." Because I hadn't seen the plane. I had not seen the plane path, because then it would have made more sense, right? I hadn't seen the plane, and I know that TSM loots Milta, and I just saw them all down here, and I was like, what the hell is going on here? That doesn't even begin to make sense, but now it does. So they all take a boat. Not exactly optimal, but I mean, they're just planning on playing late game anyway, so they make their way back to get looted. And they don't, like, they're not exactly in the worst spot. You can see this right here. Look at the cutoff, right? There are 2 teams on the bottom southeast side of the circle. 2 teams down here. So it's not really because they're in the worst spot. Should the circle go anywhere down here? Now let's zoom in a bit. 2-2 split by Windstrike. I like it. A little scary, but you can, because you can't, no, actually you can't hold off each other whatsoever. So should Red Diamonds push up on Tixu and Yorski for whatever reason, then there's no way in hell that Noogie and the last player can get up there in time to help them. So it's a good split for info, but it's a hard, it's like scary split for, especially when the plane was so far west. It means that so many more teams will be coming in from there, so there's a bigger chance to get confronted. But I mean, it works out, so not really a problem at all. Circle send us up. If you can hit your shots on 800 meters. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Nobody's going to crash it. Nobody's going to crash it, obviously. The only thing that's scary is that because we had a plane like this, like because everyone is so, like because you have so many more teams on the west side, doing a wide split like that could be, I mean, if for whatever reason anyone reckons that it's a 2-man split. Even more so here when they're 1-1-2. If anyone, and again, I would be very surprised to see it happen too. If anyone realizes, I mean, honestly, looking at knights right here, because they have reels in the red house, right? You can't scout shit from the red house, especially if the majority of the circle is this way. You can't see anything. So if Kramer and Drayden and even reels calls out, wait, there's only one guy over here. Knights wouldn't be a team that would be scared to do that. They would want to do that. Just for the scouting purposes of looking further. I wouldn't be surprised to see them pull a move like that. And Tixu and Yorski would be very late to the race if they just pulled up on them. Because on their entire drive down, you'd have red diamonds plowing, like throwing bullets at them. But again, doesn't really matter. It was never the case. So it's not exactly that important. It's just, I mean, it's just something I notice, that it's a scary split when you have so many teams around here. Okay, circle, send us up. It goes further east over to Potato again. We've been there so many times before, but why not go there for a third time? Billionth time. And you can't also, Horst, you cannot look from up here down here. There's like the on the backside of the compound up here, you have like go something like this. There's a downhill, so you cannot see over. You can only see till here, pretty much. Windstrike. Oh no, Windstrike goes north. What a surprise. I like that they do it. I mean, they've been doing the exact same rotation every single time the circle goes east of where they are in Gatka. They would go over the top. And they have pretty much never ever been punished for doing it. Like, nobody has ever positioned themselves to say, well, Windstrike is gonna be coming up here any moment now. Especially when you have the eastern circles that goes all the way to Yasnaya. I mean, there's a 99.9 chance that Windstrike will be sitting either there or down here. And you could line yourself up and wait for them, but then again, is it really worth it to take that 4v4 fight? Even though you might get to fire off a few bullets before they start shooting back at you. I don't know. But they go north around. It makes sense. They've done it so many times before, and it's worked out. So why would you stop doing that? TSM now on the south. Oh my god, this is a perfect shift for them. Look at this. Again, we can draw up the line. Halfway oh, I cannot draw a straight line with this mouse. I don't know what it is. Maybe if we just change the... Okay, so now we have really high sensitivity. Well, actually, it made it easier. It made it a lot easier to draw. But in any case, again, majority of teams are on the north side. Do you need a license to download the program? It's not a download file. You have to go into the homepage. And I guess what you can do is you can reach out to the guys on Twitter. Like, write a message to them and then ask if you can get access. I'm honestly not sure. I've heard from a lot of different people how they say it works, but I'm not sure completely how it works, if it's a private person or if it's a team or what it is. So reach out to them on Twitter. They will answer your questions. But as we can see, majority of teams sitting north. Nobody wants to sit down here should the circle go north, because it's so hard to push out. You have to run up, like you have to leave your vehicles, run up Potato, and that's gonna be a scary push, because you won't be able to get any info on Potato from down here. Not any proper info anyway. But the circle does go north. Windstrike goes all the way around. So does Face and Digital. Makes sense. Ooh, Windstrike try to put up a little bit of a roadblock on first, but doesn't happen. They're going out again to take down Face. Ain't happening there either. Joker's sitting well in the center. When did Jokers take double barns? Okay, so they're allowed around, because I would think that Liquid would do that. But they go up and over. Liquid's committed north side instead of, because what we've seen before is Liquid split something like this and get info from that, but this time around they sat north instead. A health indicator? I don't know. I mean, I'm doing it in 8 times speed. Normally, like whenever I do things, it's 8 times speed. So it would be bouncing like crazy. But sure, if you want to go like really in depth with things, that could be a good addition. But then I think you're better off watching like team streams or stuff like that. If you want to watch actual fights and stuff. What I'm analyzing, like at least my main focus point when doing these things is not the actual fights themselves. Sure, sometimes we can look into a fight and see how they position themselves, but it's mainly me trying to see how teams rotate and like compound priority, which places do they like to go to depending on the circles and stuff like that. That's more at least my use of the program. But again, we can see so many teams up north, there are so many compounds up there compared to south that you can really get to and play from. So all these teams forced to maneuver all the way down. Circle send us up around jokers, and the issue here is that this big field is a yikes with a yikes on it. You have Pachinki on the edge, which means you cannot really rotate west around, and then you have the entire open area over here, and there's a big open area down here as well. So not a whole lot of cover for 52 players, and I would assume that we go down to something like 20 or 30 maybe if we're lucky by the time that this circle is closed all the way in. Circle goes south, just even worse. Look at this spot. I mean, it's a horrible place to be in. Okay, so now we have two guys down and one on the edge. That makes sense. No big surprises there. They spot out ratio edge. I'm just looking at Navi right now because Crimson told me to. Oh, back further. Navi. Church. Info. Send two guys in. Take vehicles. Come back in. They have Recrant on the hill. He goes down from Knights. Then Polka goes up to pick up Sadovnik. And they go in. Then they take Granny. Huh. This is an interesting call. I would probably just stay Granny. I think the thing is they realize they have teams up on the hill. And they don't want to be pinned inside because they know that other teams are pushing into the city as well. And they know there's a team over in Double Barns. So they don't want to get pinned here. And they see that the only time they will ever get that they can leave the city has to be now. They go down around. They want to clear the entire south side to make sure they can pull up the hill. Then with the circle push, they don't want to pull up the hill. And they go over the side. Split off. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I mean, it kind of makes sense that they want to leave here. But what I would have done probably in that situation when you leave is if you want to go up here anyway, send a guy up here first. Like have two guys sitting down here because that's like a pretty steep hill on the east side of this road. Two guys down here and send one guy up because I mean they've heard your vehicles now anyway, right? So if there are players up here, you have a chance to look over towards them and call the info for your teammates that they can push up on them, especially if they notice that it's only one guy. So that's probably what I would have done in that situation. But I'm not Navi, so who am I to say? Like if they want to go up there anyway, might as well get some better info off of it. Knight split and Granny and Wizard. Sees him in face, fired on the edge. Liquid, who did they take out there? Okay, two players from Windstrike. Makes sense. Hey there. NIP tries to make the late run. They go down. TSM 4v3 against Liquid. Whoa, my god. James popping off there. Took down both Gustav and Woogie. They did get a little help. A little help. Rory was taken down by Face. They go down in the end of it. They're just chilling in the house. Circle again. They can stay in if they want to. I would assume to see some of them try and push up the hill and take control though. So they don't get pinned. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Great job by Jokers. This is the same thing we saw with Jokers in the game that ended down by Chopsticks. They realized that they cannot allow for themselves to get pinned in. Really smart play. Really smart play by Jokers there. Fast Rail gets some kills despite being a solo. And Pogat gets taken down. They do this. They do these plays, and that's one of the things that I think help contribute them to be in the top. They never just settle with what they got. They go like, okay, sure, we got the circle, but even with that, because some teams they were like, ha, we got the circle, I'm just gonna chill around for a little while longer. Some just do that, and they don't really. They just chill, and then they kind of forget that, oh my god, the next circle could shift away from us. What do we do then? They just kind of go with the old, oh yeah, let's just stick around for a little while. Whereas Jokers, they're really, really good at thinking circles ahead, and this is exactly what they do here. We saw it. We saw them do it on yesterday in the analysis as well on day 1 of the week, the game that ended by Chopsticks. How they had the position, they had everything, but they knew if we don't take an aggressive position now, then whoever wins this down here will just keep us inside the compound and we will never be able to leave. So really smart play by Jokers, and they get the win. So impressive play coming in from them, and that's why they're sitting tied right now, I think, in 5th, right? I think they're tied with FaZe in 5th place right now. Oops. Still day 2. There's game 5. Yeah, it's gonna be a crazy ending. Also for me. I need to do analysis on all these guys. Dream scenario for me as a Cloud9 person, which I guess technically I am these days, is that Liquid somehow doesn't make it. It would make analysis so much easier, because I mean Cloud9 drops Pachinki and Picado, and it's just like a sigh of relief if they don't make it. Let's just put it this way: Cloud9 and Liquid have had their fair share of fights over drop spots before. We've seen it happen before, and as an analyst, I would love for it not to happen again. But that's not on me, that's the players. They gotta figure that out themselves, I guess. Hey, Millie. Hi, Millie. Nice timing. You just got a Millie circle. But no, it is a Millie circle. The first one of all the games played. So this would be game number 50. Which means a Wrangle game number 25. No. The funny thing is, Millie, that this is the first time in 25 games of a Wrangle in the Pro League that they actually get a military circle. So it's just funny timing. The first military circle in all of Pro League. And clearly, nobody's in a hurry to get there. I guess we can call. Yeah, there hasn't been one before this. I mean, we had them in contenders, but there has not been one in PEL. Issue here being, and you guys might or might not know it, I don't know if you do, but just like we had, like when you play esports mode or LAN client, I guess you can say. When you play esports mode, oh, my knee's itchy. Then you get those vehicles with flames on it, right? You get the Dashes with flames on them that always spawn the same spot no matter what. And you also get the UASs now, the camouflage colored UASs. But one thing you also get are boats. And you know how you can both have Dashes with flames on them and also Dashes without flames on them? So you get like the guaranteed spawns, and then you also get some extra ones. With the boats, you don't. You only get the guaranteed spawns, which means that it is predetermined exactly, like every single game you go into, it is predetermined exactly where the boats are. And there are, we've talked about this before, but I'll gladly throw it up again. There are 2 boats here. There are, I believe, 1 here and 2 along the coast, or maybe just 1, I'm not sure. I think there's 2 along the coast over by Milta. But that's it by the bridges. Then you have 1 down here under the bridge. But, I mean, look at how many teams you'd potentially see come in between here. There are no boats down here at all. Not a single boat down here. Like in between these 2 points. And I mean, sure, this is where the passage is, I guess you can say, the shortest, so you don't need a boat as much as you would over here. But there are no boat spawns in between these 2 green points. And it just means that teams that don't come in early, odds are that these 2 will be gone. And then all of a sudden you have to look on the on the sides of the bridges rather than try and make you run in the middle, if that makes sense. I can drag up the map real quick. Milta, no wait, I write Milta powers boats. What? Boat spawns Erangel. Erangel boats. Oh, it doesn't show there. Okay, 1 second then. I got the. Scroll your boat gently down the stream. Wiggity woggity woogity woggity. I am too far back. Where did you send this, buddy? Didn't he send the link at some point? Okay, I guess it's gone. I'm pretty sure there are 2 boat spawns out here as well, but not 100% sure. You can see them in the super settings. The super settings. If you go and find them on the homepage, you can find them in there. But nonetheless, a military base is what it is. Not guaranteed it could go here, but because I just told you, then it is because I watched this game. So TSM over quickly. FaZe, they'll be going down. They've already taken 1 boat. Braxco took another one. 4 spawns. Okay, so you have 1 down here, 1 here. You have 1 kind of in the middle. Where's the 4th one? Is the one down by the cliffs? I don't remember. It doesn't really matter either. So the FaZe is doing it smart. They're parking the boat down here, and then they're playing south side for 2 reasons. One being that they're looking over to Novo to see if anyone is setting up shop in there. Yeah, the bay. Ah, that's right. It's down there. Yep, true. So they have 2 boats down here now, right? FaZe. And not only are they denying potential boat rotations from up here, but they're also getting a better, like, safer rotation for themselves. So they're sitting down here looking towards Novo to see if anyone's getting inside the city, while also waiting for the next circle. Because, well, I mean, it could still go north, right? So waiting for that next circle to show. They don't want to overcommit yet, but while not overcommitting, they're still, you can see they keep Uber here to sit and guard the boats while also looking over to the other side. So smart play. Ends come in super late. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. They're still up here. New circle pops, and boom, we're guaranteed military. No other way around it. FaZe come in. Boogie is down here trying to say hold them off, but not gonna happen. So he will maneuver with his team up to observatory while everyone. Why is the circles flying around like that? While everyone else is making their way in from the west side. Again, draw a line. We got 4 teams over here and 1 billion over here in military. I'm not sure why teams commit military in these circles, but that's their choices. FaZe push up on TSM. And Ends finally make it in. Look at the amount of space that Ends has here. I mean, and I know you can't really play this hill, but they have so much space on the east side. And they continue to do so. The thing is, with this hillside, at any point, pretty much, unless if you're all the way over here, pretty much at any point are you visible to Novo. So if there's a line, let me draw a line for you. Yeah, if there's a team down by Novo, they can pretty much hold off this entire side. So if you're sitting here and you're taking shots from FaZe or whatever is on the other side of the road, and you try to go back down the hill to heal, people that are sitting down here can shoot you. So this is not really a spot you ever want to be in, unless if the game ends on that spot and you have nowhere else to be. Liquid did an interesting rotation here. I like how they wanted to go on the other side, but it's a little late. Especially knowing, because Liquid, they're sure, okay, so they're coming from down south, and that might be the issue. Liquid comes in from the south, right? They took boats and boom, now they pretty much hit the island at the same time that FaZe does, or that Ents does. Issue being, they didn't see all the teams crash into military. And they get shut up by Vitality, they get themselves a vehicle, now they have to run for vehicles first, right? Because they don't have them. Then they find a second one. I believe they take the vehicles that Windstrike left behind. And then as they see Na'Vi drive on up this way, they say, okay, that should be our call to make our way around. Because clearly, with military out and a team just having driven something like this, that should be the melee team that we can then avoid and go over, like swap places with and take their spot on the north side. Because there's plenty of room up here, right? But what ends up happening is that they go late, so they're in the blue, which is not the worst thing because it's only circle 3. But they just have no info on red diamonds, and they rotate really because you have 2 guys on a bike and 2 guys in a US, and the US, like the bike pulls up really quickly to get the info to scout. But the thing is, there's no point here. Like there's no place. Once you've gone past the bunkers, pretty much, there's no place that you can stop and turn around. And Samti and Ibiza are nowhere near them, so they can't really do anything to help. So they're forced out in the blue, while James and Gemty end up dying, unfortunately. But so it's just I don't know if it's mistimed, because they clearly just wanted to go up and scout and get a position for their teammates. It just didn't really work out the way they wanted to, and now they're forced to go back down where they came from. So rough rotation. Ends up getting them killed. I believe Samsi survives for a little while inside here, but then and you can see here as well, again, nobody wants to cross over and play that side. I mean, Windstrike does, because they're coming in from the south, and now they're starting to clear this entire side by themselves, but you can't really play that side at all. You got double hard shifted east, and that's just gonna fuck you over if you're because it all comes down to so many teams trying to force fights in military early. It just puts so much pressure on the west side and prevents other teams from moving out. So rather interesting. Knights try to push around. Windstrike does the same from the other side, while everyone else is fighting on up here. NIP, they have the dip, what you used to call the rogue dip, but now they're pushing up further forward. FaZe got a lot of kills from high ground. They barely had any ammo, but then they go down and take some. I think at one point Fuzzface had like 9 bullets left in his mini, and a 5.56 gun as his main weapon as well. Circle south towards Windstrike. What a surprise! Windstrike getting circles. What? Ends still 4 guys up. This could go multiple ways, but ends being 4 guys alive. That does kind of make things a little harder for everyone else. And then 8C pulling off a 1v3 here. Ugh. And this is where, I mean, sure, you got to compliment him for taking down 3 guys. But he has an AK and I don't think he ever reloads and all of that. He just, I mean, NIP just, they know he's there. I don't know if they have nades left. I don't think they do. But NIP, they know he's there. And sure, it's the only place they can push. But they peek kind of one by the smokes. I think Rustenmark gets 1 knock on it. And then he's just, I mean, 8C is just allowed to spray. Spray and spray and spray and spray and spray. And he takes down all of NIP. The thing is, they're all trying to push into 1 smoke and a tree, and that's all the cover they have. But had one maybe tried to run down to the shack, even though it's blown, or like put a smoke down there or something, they could have gotten an off angle. It's just like they all pretty much run on top of each other into 8C and into the AK. Squeaky help, Trifly helps as well. So even though it was a 8C crazy 1v3, it wasn't really, because as you can see in the kill feed, Squeaky was actually the one to... Oh, you can't see it really, but Squeaky actually knocks Vard. 8C just steals the kill. So he cuts all of them because of it. And he even goes for the flush instantly on... oh wait, does he? Yes, so he goes for the flush instantly instead of going for the kill on Miraku to finish things off. So interesting. I mean, it looked crazy, and I was like, oh my god, what's going on? But when you look into it, Squeaky is the one who knocks Vard, and Trifly, I think he headshots Miraku with an SLR as well. So crazy play in the end. He turns around to get 2 knocks on the other side as well, but interesting. But that's why the AK is just so good up close, and Windstrike ends up losing. So good fight to end off the game, and also good to see a military game to shake things up a bit. That was pretty interesting. Pretty interesting for sure, but of course not the big difference maker at all. But yeah, I am the one who knocks. Yeah. But that was the match. That was the day being all over and in the book. So if you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much for watching. If you like the content, subs are, or like follow. I don't know how it works. I'm so bad at this. But do what you gotta do to support. That's what I'm trying to say. But thank you guys so much for watching along, and see you next time.